So for this artist in residency project, I decided to move forward with an initiative called XYZ and Beyond, which I have been kicking around for a little bit and never really had time to work on. So that's what I use this time to do. So this is my website. And as you can see, we now have the fabulous XYZ and Beyond tab. The first thing that I did in my first session here was I designed the logo. For me, it's not real if it doesn't have a logo. So here is my little XYZ and Beyond logo that I designed here in the Studio 300. And what XYZ is, it's about generations X, Y, and Z, how we can work together and leverage our strengths to bridge the gap between some of the things, we don't sometimes we don't want to work together, or you'll hear different things. And there's been such a huge gap due to technology. So, what the objective is here is for everybody to be able to leverage our differences to kind of fit them together like a puzzle piece, to just really be able to move forward with technology and with our social skills and everything. So that's what this is all about. And so then I built out this page. So I did the website, and this is all a Google site. This is an entirely new page added to my website along with everything else. And I'm going to skip over the boxes and go down to share your story. And this part is really fun because you can come to this page and you can actually share your story. And I'm going to just glaze over one story. There's a man I met who is in his 80s, and he was a firefighter, I mean, aircraft fighter pilot in World War II. And he was sharing his stories, and it was amazing to listen to how aviation has migrated from then to now. So that's what it's all about. I want older people to share their stories and their experiences, and then younger people to share your stories and your experiences so that we can find the similarities and then use the differences to make it easier for the younger people. So that's what this box is all about. I love this part. So it's as simple, just go in, put your name, your email, and share your story, and we'll contact you. And I want these to actually be um, people that we use for the podcast, whether it's video or just audio. So that's what that is. That's how I want to build this out. My goal for XYZ and Beyond is that it is 100% social. Um, I want us to use or leverage technology to be more social. And I came up with this concept before the pandemic, but now I think it's even more necessary because it's so funny. Every time we log into something, we were just talking about this, there's this make sure you're not a robot thing. And so I don't want us to turn into robots. I want us to really use technology to communicate and to be able to feel each other and to empathize. So that's what that's about. The first blog here, let's make sure everything works on the site. Are you having trouble adjusting to this virtual world? Are you all zoomed out? Unfortunately, I can't tell you that this will all go away and things will get back to normal. However, here are some tips to help you adjust to this new way of doing things. Educate yourself. Learn everything you can about your virtual options. Make sure that you have the best virtual setup for you. Assess your needs and make sure that you have the right monitor, computer, connection, and accessories to operate smoothly. Pace yourself. You may not be going out as much, but working virtually can be exhausting. Try not to schedule back to back virtual meetings all day long, and maintain a healthy diet and stay hydrated. Move around. Exercise. Get up and walk around. Try to at least get in as much movement as you would have gotten in if you were working outside of the home. Interact. It is important to communicate, network, and socialize with other human beings. Don't isolate yourself. Engage in online activities or attend activities or events that have proper social distancing precautions in place. Organize. Have a designated space for work and virtual meetings. If space is limited, select a space that can be quickly converted back and forth for work. Keep your equipment together and keep your setup consistent. Finally, rest. It is easy to work around the clock when working from home. Allocate time to unplug, rest, and relax. We are now truly living a virtual reality. So let's make the best of it and find ways to have fun. Okay, so that is also one of the projects I worked on that was a part of this. And so one of the components of XYZ and Beyond will be videos. And most of the videos will be animated because I want to kind of tie together consistent themes of just old school values of being dependable, reliable, being hardworking. But I also want to merge that with the new school technology, staying connected, being plugged in, but also learning how to unplug. So most of those videos will be the new animated. I actually did that animation using a fun little software called Toonly that I purchased online. So the next part of XYZ and Beyond is the podcast. And this is a podcast that I actually started with my daughter. And we have a few episodes already recorded. And we are now looking for new guests. We'll be talking about things. I'm actually Generation X, and she's Generation Z. And so we'll be doing more conversations with people from different generations, talking about different topics, current events. I think a good thing to do to cover our next one will probably be about the election. Here at the library, I'm seeing voter turnout like I've never seen before. That's truly amazing. So we're living in historic times here, and this is where we kind of talk about that and see how what's going on is impacting the different generations in different ways, and again, how we can support each other. The next box here is the literature box. I write a column for Chicago Now, and it's the XYZ and Beyond column. And this is where we'll be seeing more articles. And so the part I do a lot of things. The purpose of this page is to tie it all together. And for anybody who was looking for that, I talked to a lot of parents my age who are really struggling to communicate with their children as well as teachers. And so those of us who are able to navigate in this space, I want us to share. So this column is about different things, different activities, different spaces where we can all share across generations and enjoy and learn. Or also, again, it'll be interviews or just something that I may come up with that I learned just in my day-to-day activity. So this is my column on Chicago Now, where I talk about X, Y, Z, and beyond. And we're going to go back to the website. This last box here is for dialogue, and this will eventually be a chat box that we can open up. I'm still working on that one because I want it to be live where we can do live chatting, and I haven't quite figured that out. Most likely, I'm going to find a code on the internet someplace, and that's the good thing about Google Sites where you can just go ahead and embed that code into your site, and it'll just work. So that's what I've done so far with XYZ and Beyond, and I'm really happy about this for two reasons. Because it was a vision that I had and I got to get it done, but also I want this to be a site that is really interactive where people can go here and get answers to questions, connect with other people. So this whole dialogue piece I haven't quite figured out, but I wanted dialogue between me and the people who are visiting, but I also want it to be some kind of a network. It may even just simply tie back to something as simple as a Facebook page, which is what I'm thinking it's going to be. It may be an XYZ and Beyond Facebook group where you click that and we can interact. So those are some things, I just noticed that so many times there's this gap, and it's only there because we don't sit down and talk. No one is saying, "Hey, let's share these stories." So that's the whole thing behind XYZ and Beyond, and I'm so excited to get this done. So I would like to kind of show people or tell everybody the software that I use. Okay, so the logo I did in Photoshop. Now I know most people use Illustrator and for logos and things like that, but I'm weak in Illustrator, so I probably use Photoshop for things that you should use Illustrator for. The background, I'm sure I found this in Digital Juice, just to let people know the resources that are available here. These photos at the bottom, these this one, the video one definitely came from Digital Juice. The podcast one and the rest of these definitely came from Story Blocks. So these are all things that I pulled from the databases that we have here in Studio 300. This is a Google form, so I really am using Google a lot. So my tools have turned into Google, which would be Google Sites. I used to have a Kajabi site, which Kajabi sites are very expensive, and I wasn't at a point where I was generating that kind of revenue through the site. So I just rebuilt the site on Google Sites, which is free. So it's free to build your site here. Then I put the Google Forms in here. And the good thing about using Google Sites is that it's so easy to embed everything that Google does. So I'm just going to go and show you the back end of the site. And there's templates here, and you can do that. If you use a template, it'll literally take you a few minutes. But I usually start with a blank site or a template and I move it. And these are just, so far I've done 5 sites. Three of these are, well, two of them are client sites. One is my daughter's site. This one's kind of fun. I'm going to click on her site really quickly. She does a natural hair site. And these are just some of the things that you can do. And this is a good example about how generations work together differently. She likes to draw, and she's also interested in natural hair. And she likes science. So she actually drew this graphic. What did she draw this in? She used a sketch pad here in Studio 300, but I'm not sure what software she used. It was not Illustrator, it was the other one. But that's what she drew this here. And then I designed her logo, and we went into Photoshop and made the background for her site. And then this is actually, we wanted a periodic table of essential oils. So these are all different kinds of oils and it tells you what they're for anti-itch, for moisture, for shine, fragrance, and growth. So everything is coded, and it's designed to look like a actual periodic table. And this is actually the back end of her site. And so you can see everything here on the side is modular. If you're storing things on Google Drive, you can just click this and insert anything from your drive. These are all my folders, super quick and easy. You can also embed code. So back on the other one, when I was talking about a chat box or building a code, I literally would just go online, find a code, grab the snippet, put it in here, and it would populate the site with my code. And you can literally do a site in a few minutes. So that's her site. And that's why I wanted to do the back end. Where's my site? This is my site, the back end of my site. And everything is completely modular. You can just put in buttons in. So for anybody who's trying to start a business or do anything, a business, a non-for-profit, a church, I'm going to design a site for my church because now a lot of churches are going virtual. If you do a Google site, and I don't want to just kind of promote Google that much, but you can put your YouTube stuff in here seamlessly. So that's what I've been doing. That's how I use Studio 300. Again, the software I use here the most would be Premiere Pro and Photoshop are the ones I work in almost every time I come into the building. Uh, the good thing about it is other sites, I do use Canva a lot. And before I started using Canva, I used Photoshop more. Now I kind of go back and forth. That's the beauty of being here in the studio, or even if you're working from home, I can do stuff in Canva or either Toonly. Then I can come into the studio and tweak it in Photoshop or tweak it in Adobe Premiere Pro to make it my own, but very quickly, very easy. So that's how we do that. Oh, I just purchased my domains from GoDaddy. There's a lot of sites out there that you can do it now. I always go to GoDaddy, and a couple things you can do. You can actually just point it to your URL, or you can actually connect it to your URL. So those are things that they show you step by step at the GoDaddy site, and that's how I do it. And it points me back. I will say this, which is kind of a hack. So if you type in my website, www.bydesignetwork.com, when you do that, you typed in my site, but if you look in the bar, it went back to my Google Sites little thing here. And I can change it in GoDaddy where it doesn't do that, where it stays in this, it just stays in my brand. But because Google is social based, keeping this bumps my site up higher on a search engine. I figured that out by mistake. So that's why I kind of have it as a functioning Google site and I keep it that way because if somebody is searching in a Google search, the sites that they're going to promote first would be a Google site, so that's kind of why I leave that like that and the various pages, especially for XYZ and beyond. Because once I start to navigate through the site, you lose my branding and it stays on Google. So if somebody is looking for XYZ and beyond, I have a much higher SEO rating because I did leave the Google domain there. And again, you still get here by typing my domain name. I actually have two domain names that point to the same site. And that's another thing too. You can use as many domain names as you want based on the people that you're trying to attract to go to the same content.
I'm so excited that you are our artist in residence. That I appreciate the time that you put in, the effort, and making yourself available. And with this hope that with the replays of this video and things like that, and the previous video that you do, and people can take advantage of the wonderful ideas and the information that you have to share is just invaluable. Can't wait to see how this plays out in the future, in the near future as well. So thank you so very much.
You are so very welcome. I'm so glad to be here.